After I watched episode 8, I was like, what's going on? After I watched episode 9, I was like, I did not think the Witches Road origin was going to be like that. And then they ended the show, and I was like, did they really just end the show like that? What's up, witches? Welcome back for the final time. Well, maybe not the final time. I might do a whole season review, a whole series review, since this is all we're getting for this. But for now, we are here, we are gathered here, our coven is gathered to discuss episodes 8 and 9 of Agatha All Along. I can see why this needed to be a two-parter. Also, spoiler warning ahead, major spoiler warning, because there were some reveals that happened. Let's get into it. So, episode 8. Let's talk about what happened in episode 8 and episode 9, and then I'll get into some of my thoughts on all of this. Episode 8, wherein, after learning that the Witch's Road literally has come full circle, and Agatha has made a deal with death and also confronts death, literally, we get our Green Witch's trial without our Green Witch present. Jen also discovers who has actually bound her and ends up getting free of her binding. And Agatha frees Billy from the Witch's Road by giving him what he wants, what he came to the road for, the ability to find Tommy. After completing the trial, Agatha gets out of the Witch's Road herself, but is not given her prize. Instead, she has to face death. Billy returns to fight at her side against death, and in the end, Agatha makes a play that ends up costing her her life. Billy returns home after all this chaos, only to discover upon revisiting his room and noticing things that are very similar to some of the stuff that we saw on the Witch's Road, that he might be behind it. Dun dun dun. And then, of course, you have to watch episode 9 right away. If that didn't happen, I would have lost my mind. So I am glad it was a two-parter in this respect. Episode 9 is a lot more streamlined. It is the origin of the Witch's Road, the origin of Nicholas Scratch. We finally find out Agatha's son's story. We also find out her original deal with death and kind of learn more about that complicated relationship. Her complicated relationship not just with death, but also with witches and covens. And we also get a reveal to the OG grift that is the Witch's Road. A lot of implications with that. That is basically episode 9. Of course, we also snap back to the present day, and we tie things up neatly with a bow, somewhat, with Billy and Agatha ending their stories, and them setting off to a sort of new journey. And then that's really it. I mean, I really thought there might be a little, maybe at the end, maybe after the credits, a little something. There was nothing, just a promise, but no post credits. So how did I feel about episode 8? That twist though, guys, that twist though, I don't know if you were expecting that. I really was not expecting that. Really, this should be called Billy All Along, because it was Billy all along that created the Witch's Road. And it's interesting because, you know, when I initially saw Billy, when that was revealed and we found out, you know, he's telepathic, he's reading people's minds, he can talk to them through their minds, I thought, okay, well, I mean, that is a thing Billy can do, and sure. And I thought, oh, it's a little disappointing. I thought he was going to be able to warp reality like how he can in the comics. So I was just thinking we're doing something a little bit different, and that's fine. And then no, we are doing that. I really thought we had pivoted. They tricked me, and I fell for the grift. That is the Witch's Road. I fell for it. But I love that. I love that I didn't see it coming, even though I have so much comic book knowledge and I know about Billy in the comics. I will say I also like that they did still kind of tweak it, because in the comics, Billy says things and then they happen. So I don't know if that's going to be incorporated later. Now I'm thinking, I don't know how much we're going to go to the comics, but I think it's cool if we kind of change that a little bit, at least having something a little bit different. But it's very cool that they still gave us that power set. Very amazing. And I thought it was just, I have no words here. I was so flabbergasted when I finished this episode. It's also very late when I'm filming this, so I apologize if I'm going on here. Let's move on. But it was amazing. I was also wondering in episode 8, now before we got the reveal, I was thinking about this, and I think there might still be something to it, even though it is kind of contradicted by our twist at the end, which is I was wondering if what the Witch's Road does is if it gives you kind of what you want, but maybe not in the way that you expect. Like if it was kind of like a monkey's paw, because Alice dies, but she dies protecting people. And Death says to her, "You are a protecting witch, so this is a kind of fitting ending." She says, "I wish I had more time. I wanted to do more things." And I feel like that was Alice's story. You know, she felt that her life was kind of empty. She didn't have a lot of purpose. She didn't have a lot of meaning. And she was able to find that on the road. And although her life ended in her death, she kind of found her purpose. Lilia, as well, in her death, kind of was able to fully accept herself and come full circle. She was able to complete her life story. So she also kind of got what she wanted in a weird way in her death. And even Sharon, I was wondering, you know, Sharon, aka Mrs. Hart. I feel like every time I say Sharon, people forget that's her name, but Sharon Davis is her name. It's acknowledged in the final episode. But you could also call her Mrs. Hart. She seemed like she was actually really sad after her husband passed. And it made me wonder if maybe her passing, I don't know, was in a weird way part of this, and that was what she wanted. I don't know. Is this morbid of me to think? But maybe in death, people got what they wanted. It was just something I was thinking about before the reveal, but I think it could still kind of fit. And it makes me feel better about Billy kind of killing people. Although, as Agatha pointed out, I mean, she takes out Alice, so I was surprised at how emotional of an episode 8 is, and also episode 9. Episode 8, I think what really was the most emotional part for me was Jen freeing herself from her binding. Just that really intense close-up we get on Sashir Zamata with her just repeating the line to free herself, and the evolution of how she's feeling, the emotions that we see her go through is powerful. It was really powerful. I was surprised. It moved me in a way that I was not expecting. And a part of this is the music at this scene, during this moment. But a bigger part of it, a much bigger part of it, most of it, is really Sashir Zamata, who I'm really glad that we got to see her shine more in this episode. I do think she is truly an amazing performer who just didn't get as much to do throughout most of the series. But it was enough to set up my interest in her as Jennifer Kale, and I can't wait to see where we go next with the character. Obviously, she makes it out. Later on, we see her fly away in episode 9. Will we get a connection to Man-Thing? I don't know, but I'm interested, and I'm here for it. And it was a good surprise. I was hoping we were going to get this, honestly. It wasn't so much a surprise. I did say we haven't really gotten a lot of good Jen moments, and this gave us a really powerful one. And episode 7, I do think she got some more stuff to do in episode 7. Her and Lilia together was pretty fun, but this was really the episode for me where she shone. And I think there's more to her story that I can't wait to see. Another thing that I love about episode 8 is the set design for Billy's room. And I mean, it's interesting how the details played into the story, because when we came back to the room, I was talking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show poster. I'm noticing the Buffy poster. I'm noticing all these little details. And I just thought, what a cool room. They really put a lot of attention to detail in this. And then all the details, maybe not all of them, a lot of them mattered because they were all things that Billy used subconsciously to build the Witch's Road. Really like that. Really like the meaning, the purpose behind his room, the influence that it has on the story, the imagery. It's just really well done. It's really well crafted. Speaking of things that are well done, everything Catherine Hahn does in episode 8 and in episode 9, honestly, is excellent. But in episode 8, it's especially for me when she connects with Billy to help Billy find Tommy. There's so many great moments. Also, the moment she has by herself when she finds the seed in her locket that is revealed to have Nikki's hair in it, and she plants it, and the desperation of that task, wanting just a little bit more time. I'm getting emotional just thinking about how her wanting more time in the trial to grow life literally echoes symbolically what we see in episode 9. It is a weird symbolic foreshadowing of what we get in episode 9, where she just wants more time to see her son grow. so good. Damn it, it's so good. You just watched me realize that in real time. Oh, wow. If you like this, I did a watch along over on OF, and I watched it in real time with people, and I did this in real time. More than I'm even doing it now. I also was shocked in real time by a lot of cool things and just blown away in the best way possible. And I recorded that, so I'm probably going to put up my reactions, my episode reactions, my commentaries, so you could watch along with me up on the channel for members only. So if that's a thing you're interested in, sometimes I do stuff like that over there. I also have some reactions to some X-Men original animated series episodes, but I digress. Just such a great moment. So many great moments from Kathryn Hahn in this series overall. Kathryn Hahn deserves awards for her performance in this show, I think. And these last 2 episodes, they really just let her go. They just let her loose and they said, just continue to be amazing. And she said, I will be so amazing that you will think back to episode 1 where I was blowing your mind, and you will even forget all of that, because that is how much I'm going to blow your mind in these 2 episodes. In episode 8, I also really loved the costumes and the makeup. So much cool stuff with Death. So much, I mean, effects and makeup. It's kind of a combo, but also Death's costume. Man, Aubrey Plaza is also amazing in this. Aubrey Plaza is always amazing. Aubrey Plaza and Kathryn Hahn are always amazing. And you know, Kathryn Hahn is in sneaky things that you wouldn't expect. Kathryn Hahn in Anchorman, just there, being amazing. The one critique I have for costumes is that I do miss Billy's cape. It's hard to do, but in the comics, he has this really gorgeous cape. And I was really hoping I was going to get to see that, or some version of that. And his cape's wisping behind him. We don't really get to see it. So if I could improve on anything, I would say, Marvel, please give me Wiccan's cape as it is in the comics. I don't know if it's possible, but I believe in you, Marvel. I believe you can do it. Speaking of episode 8 and just everything that's amazing here, everything that's astounding, everything that is magical, we got a shout out to the director of episode 8 and episode 9, Ganja Montero, who also did my second favorite episode in the entire show, episode 6. For me, I think it goes episode 8, episode 6, episode 9. So, episode 9 had me asking some more questions. Let's talk about episode 9 a little bit more. Some things that I haven't said yet. I wanted to know, when it comes to the reveal that the Witch's Road is a grift, does that mean that Agatha killed Alice's mom? I don't know if that was shown when we went through the flashes, but I feel like it's kind of implied, because she disappeared and we don't know where she went, and there is no Witch's Road, so unless there is a Witch's Road, I don't know. I don't think there is. I think it's just a grift. I love just the strong ending that we get with this show, which I do think redeems WandaVision somewhat. I mean, my only critique with WandaVision is that I felt like the ending kind of was like, meh. But I feel like this ending for Agatha All Along was much better, and I think it did redeem, in some ways, the ending for WandaVision, which for me just felt a little bit flat. There are some things I still like about that ending. I love that show overall. But yes, I do want to go and just do a video on WandaVision, by the way. I'm going to go through, I think, and do retro reviews of the MCU. I talked about this a long time ago in another video where I talked about superhero fatigue, but I am going to go back and do my retro reviews. I haven't forgotten, and I have to start with Iron Man, so I'm going to have to, it's going to be a while before I get to WandaVision, but I am so excited to review WandaVision that I am going to get through everything so I can get back to WandaVision, because I want to watch it in, you know, chronological order, in the order it was released. But speaking back to episode 9 and some things that I loved about it other than the ending, I love that Agatha gets to be humanized in this show, and especially in episode 9, and yet we don't take away from her the villainy that she represents. She does still get to be a villain. She's not really redeemed. We just get a better understanding of her as a character. And my favorite villains are really ones that have a purpose that they believe is worth the deeds they are doing. I mean, she's doing all of this to save her son, but she also at no point tells her son what's really going on. She's still a villain. And I understand why she's afraid to confront her son in the end. The origin of the Witch's Road is heartbreaking, but it doesn't redeem Agatha's actions here. In a way, you know, Agatha's hang-ups with her son, where when she insists that Billy does not send her away, does not force her to move on, lets her remain as a ghost, and she reaches for that locket. She manages to manifest for just a second to knock it out, and she gets her locket back. I was thinking about how much these characters, they fit in a way, Billy and Agatha, because they're dealing with similar things. They don't want to confront who they are. They don't want to confront their family. Billy is not willing to accept that Wanda is his mother, but Wanda is his mother. I mean, he has 2 moms. You can have 2 moms, but he's refusing to accept it. And I feel like he is going to have to come to terms with that at some point. He's still in denial about that. And in a weird way, his hangups on his mom about that's not my mom echo Agatha's concerns about what her son is going to think of her. Because Wanda obviously did some not great things, but that doesn't mean that she's not Billy's mom. And, you know, she left Billy, but that doesn't mean that she's not his mom. And Agatha did some really terrible things, but I do think that Billy is right that Nikki will ultimately forgive her. She did it to save him. Doesn't make it okay. She did what she thought was right in that scenario. She's still a villain, but she was doing her best. In a way, both of them are, at the end of the show, running away from confronting some of these hard truths to go on an adventure together, to find Tommy together. And I just think that's really cool. And I can't believe we didn't get any hint of, any flash of Tommy, any flash of Scarlet Witch. Elizabeth Olsen, where are you? Please come back as Scarlet Witch. This can't be the end of her story. I need it to continue. I need something more. And I'm one of the people that liked Multiverse of Madness, but I still think that can't be the end. That's not for Wanda. I can't accept it. I refuse. Agatha also continuing on here as a ghost in the show, like Catherine Hahn still being around as Agatha, but now she's a ghost, is both hilarious and brilliant. And I love how she gets to mentor Billy here. In a way, her relationship with Billy really echoes the relationship that Agatha has with Wanda in the comics, where she is this mentor. But they do have this complicated relationship where sometimes they're really there for each other. There is this really strong bond. And yet in other ways, Agatha can be a villain to Wanda at times. And there's a darkness, I think, in both Wanda and Agatha that they see in each other, that they kind of bond over. The same thing that I see with kind of Billy and Agatha here. It's very cool because we obviously don't have the Agatha-Wanda relationship in the same way in the MCU. So it's cool to see this as a different version of that with Billy and Agatha. Overall ratings. Episode 8. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 5. It's just that good. The ending. Sorry, I got too excited. The ending is so good. Just the whole thing. I really, really liked episode 8. A lot happened and it was very well put together, I think. I think it's also really well written also. Episode 8, I believe, is the only episode that was written by Peter Cameron. Although, you know, I'm sure everyone kind of worked on this series together. There's usually a writer's room, but Peter Cameron is the one that's credited, so I thought that was interesting. Episode 9, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It was still fantastic. I love the flashback to put me in the flashback to tank. Take me to the past. I love a flashback episode. What can I say? And I wanted to do a little update to episode 7 before we end here. And I just want to say that with episode 7, I really did want to give it a 5 out of 5. I didn't because I had this fear. I had this insecurity in me that I was loving too much of Agatha All Along and that maybe the episode wasn't as good as I thought and that I should just not be so in love with everything and that people were going to judge me for loving too many things. So I just wanted to say, I want to give it a 5 out of 5 because that was my initial takeaway, but I questioned myself and I shouldn't have done that. And you should love things. If you love things, love them and don't apologize for that. There's nothing wrong with enjoying shows. I really don't think there is. And if there is anyone out there that thinks I enjoy things too much, look, there's some other reviews of mine that you could watch where I have not enjoyed things as much. But I'm going to be real. I am a person that always looks for something to like because, I mean, why am I watching this stuff if not for that? And a lot of work goes into making shows and making movies. And I just think it's important to consider that there's a lot of people on a set. And I don't think that people that are on sets that love making film are hating what they're doing. There is love that is there. So I always try to find that love when I watch something, but it doesn't mean that I always like things. And I think episode 7 was deserving of the initial thought that I had, the 5 out of 5. That's all I have. I've talked for a long time. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm sad that it's over, but I'm excited for what's next. Vision Quest and so many shows that we saw previewed at the beginning of episode 8. I'm really excited for so many things. I might do another video on that, but for now, we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on this journey along the Witch's Road. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you loved, what you didn't love. You're excited for where you think we're going next. I want to hear it all. I really love reading your comments. I don't always have time to respond, but know that they really brighten my day, so thank you. I'll see you next time, friends. And until then, as always, stay nerdy. Bye! That was a very weird note that I did. Oh well.